Got one of the busiest ladies in show business and serving your community right here. We have Juanita Silkman. Thank you for joining us from the GRF board.
Thank you.
And you do trading posts. You're prolific here in the community, and you are definitely involved. And you got some updates for us on what's going on at the GRF, some of the decisions you guys have made.
We had our monthly meeting last week.
Right.
And there were a number of things that came out of that meeting.
Now tell me about this, the viewing in the drop-in lounge. What's that about?
That has been a sore spot in the village for a number of years.
Help me understand that. What's going on there?
And we've tried doing different things. The drop-in lounge is exactly that, and it's supposed to be, or was designed originally, for people to intermingle, people to talk to each other, particularly a lot of us who live alone and maybe don't get out and see other people. They can go there, they can do puzzles, and there is a television.
Okay.
But we've had a really contagious time with the television.
A little bit cantankerous?
Absolutely, because, I mean, we have people who want sports. Okay. People don't want to see sports. We have people who want to see Cooking Channel or HGTV, and other people who say, no. And then, of course, there's the political thing.
Oh, yes, CNN versus Fox, MSNBC, all that fun.
And so we literally had fights.
Wow.
We had to call security a few times. And so they took the TV out completely, and then they decided, no, that wasn't fair, so they put it back on just with Channel 6.
Okay.
Which seemed really good to me.
Yeah, there's good.
Channel 6
we're on
got
that.
all kinds of everything.
We're on that show.
That's right. So they wanted more programming.
Okay.
And so the CAC, Community Activities Committee, works on this, and they had gone through, and they've come up with this new plan. And the only problem with this new plan is they're closing down the
the plan's ready to go, but the clubhouse
as of March
is
7th. So it'll be there for a month, and we can kind of try it and see how it works. And what they're doing is they're going to have a different channel every day from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. And so if people do want to go there and watch TV, they can do that. But they can also intermingle. They can do puzzles. They can read, whatever. But on Mondays, they'll have HGTV.
Right.
And on Tuesdays, National Geographic. And on Wednesday, Turner Classic Movies.
Which is a great channel.
And on Thursdays, the Food Network. And then on Friday, the Discovery Channel. Saturday, we get TNT. And Sunday, we get Lifetime.
Lifetime, yeah, absolutely.
And so there's a wide variety of programming there, but we hope that it will satisfy people.
Yeah.
So we'll try it for a few weeks before we close the drop-in lounge down, when we have to close down.
Little test drive. It reminds me of when my siblings and I were kids, and we'd fight over the remote or fight over turning the channel.
And we had to take the remote out.
Yeah, to take the remote. Mom would like, turn off the TV.
The remote is kept by the Clubhouse One supervisor now in the office, and she turns it on to the correct channel and whatever. You know, we did have fights over the remote.
That's silly.
So
a lot of silliness, but
we're
hopefully that
supposed to be adults.
I know, we know, but kids will be kids no matter what age we are, right?
But you know, we've had a lot of problems with the drop-in lounge. A few years ago, we had problems. We had to change the way we had coffee there. Because we had coffee supplies and coffee and sugar and creamer and all of that kind of stuff. And people would come in with bags and just
oh my goodness,
take them out. And if you'd say, stop, I pay my dues, so I'm entitled to this. No, so we stopped doing that.
Right.
And we have the coffees made a different way. And
I think people just need to be reminded sometimes that you're in a community. And it's a shared place, and it's shared like a park and those kinds of things, and it's for everyone. It's not for an individual, and I think some people get that individual mindset when they walk into a space like that and say, "This is mine. I pay my dues," like you said.
And I can't believe that our residents are that desperate that they have to take another example. As I was there one day, and somebody had brought in 2 dozen boxes of Krispy Kreme donuts.
Oh, nice.
People do bring in cookies and all kinds of things like that. And somebody came in closed up the boxes, took the boxes, and was walking out. I said, wait a minute. Those were here for everybody. And again, it's, no, I pay my dues. I can have anything I want.
Oh my goodness, yeah. You know, some people are not going to change, and I think that's one of the realities.
So we always have some challenges there. We're going to see how this works out.
Yeah.
And we hope it will when it reopens.
Sounds like a good plan. You can't please everybody, but it sounds like you guys have come up with something pretty good. Now, like you said, it's only going to be going until about March 4th or so, because that's when things are going to shut down, and now the renovation process is happening.
Absolutely.
Clubhouse 1 has not had a major renovation since it opened back in the 60 years.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's our oldest clubhouse, and it's probably our most used. I am so proud of our recreation department, who have located 109 different clubs and functions to other clubhouses for this 6-month period.
Right. It's not. And that's one of the things. It's not even a matter of, hey, what are we going to do here? How are we going to get all the services out of that clubhouse, everything people do, and then relocate them while this is happening? That process, I imagine, was just a monumental lift.
Absolutely, because we have so many clubs, and it's other functions as well. You have a birthday or an anniversary or a memorial service or something. All of those things had to be relocated to another clubhouse so that we could do this. But we're going for the good thing is, by doing it in the 6-month period all at once, we're going to save over $100,000.
Wow.
If we had spaced it out, we'd have paid a lot more money. And it's safer because there's going to be asbestos. It's an old clubhouse. There's going to be dust and noise.
Cords hanging over the place.
All of those kinds of things. And so just from a safety point of view, we said, hey, we got to close it for 6 months. And
so hit with some of the highlights of what people are going to see that's going to be new, different, and improved now that we're looking at this major renovation. So what is going to be done? Obviously, the remediation of some of the asbestos and things like that.
They're changing out the windows. They're putting in new double-pane windows that work, and doors. New lighting. Our lighting is very old, and they're putting in new lighting that's going to really be nice. A lot of technology that we haven't had there before in the way of projectors for people doing slideshows that will be in the ceiling now instead of having to have one. And you don't have to pull down a screen. Those will be all automatic. So there's a bunch of technology that's going in there as well. Just things that are going to bring it up to date. And then the usual paint, new floors, those kinds of things that make it look better. And on the outside, completely repainting the outside, just like we're painting all of our buildings right now, including mine.
But the building is going to remain the same character and the same structure overall, right? It's not going to be some sort of tear down kind of situation, right? Because it's such a beautiful building.
And this is a beautification of our beautiful building.
There we go.
So it's going to work really well. Now, there are other challenges. One of the other challenges was our buses, because the hub for our buses is Clubhouse 1, and it's right there. So what we're doing is we're moving that over to the side of the History Center and Library. There's a big parking lot there, and they're going to put in tents or covers and benches so that people can sit and it will there. Hopefully even porta potties if people need them, or the bus drivers. And there's plenty of room to park your car to get on the bus for those that do that. And we'll have our parking for the History Center and the Library, which are the only two parts of that complex that are not closing down.
Those places came later, and they don't need the same renovation, right?
Exactly.
And they're not attached. They're not actually
attached to the building.
They're not actually
attached, and there's parking lots between them, so that we don't get in the way of the construction and the contractors.
You'll have some open during construction signs for the center and the library.
Right. So both of those will still be open.
So what are some of the major decisions that you out there in GRF had to make in terms of before this got launched? I mean, was it every single vendor that was coming in there, every single construction project? All of those
We've had
things?
two committees, of course, our general maintenance and construction, M&C committee. And then we also had a ad hoc committee just for the clubhouse refurnishing of it. And now that that's done for Clubhouse 1, now they're saying that ad hoc committee may move on to a different clubhouse.
Okay.
No decision has been made on that yet.
They've got
but
some great
that's
experience. You know, that's one of the things about these committees that they can serve, and they gain that knowledge. I'm sure as you've served on many committees, you gain that knowledge of that area you didn't know anything about when you walked in, and it would be a shame to waste that knowledge and say, let's get a brand new committee for something else.
Right. Well, that is one of the problems that we have here in the village. Just the way our governance is set up, we basically change 1/3 of our boards every year. And new people come in and they're eager and they want to help, but it's always, let's go back to square one and see if my idea is better.
Yeah.
And you have to say, we tried that, we researched that, we looked into that, that's not a new idea. Well, you know.
Yeah, and there's a bit of a brain trust loss when that happens. There's a reset on even just on procedures, how things actually work, how we get bids from vendors, and all of those things that are an important part of that process.
Absolutely. And it's a 3-step process, really. The committees do all the work. And that's why I tell everybody, go to a committee if you're interested in anything that's happening here. We have committees for everything, and go to a committee. That's where the work is done. That's where the ideas are brought forth. That's where the research is done. And then they make a recommendation. And the recommendation usually goes to the finance committee, because we've got to know, do we have the money? Usually it comes out of our reserve funds, and so we need to know, do we have the money to be able to do this? Or is it going to cost our residents more money?
Right, through a special assessment or raising
all that
fees,
good
which
stuff.
is like, well, you're gonna hear about
We
that.
never have had a special assessment, and we certainly don't expect to. But sometimes the big thing is we need to keep putting money back into the reserve fund, because you can't keep taking out.
Right. It's not a piggy bank that just that's unyielding.
You can't you have to refresh it. So every year we have to put money back in. And that's always a part of the budget, and how much should it be? Now we've standardized on $17 per manor per month for quite a few years now, and that's kept our reserve fund where it needs to be.
Okay.
And we do have reserve study people who come in and look at it and say, is it enough? Are you doing it right?
And with the inflation that's come along, especially for construction materials, I imagine that the prices went up from when you very first started looking at this to when you actually made all of the decisions. The budget blossomed.
Yes. and that's what's so frustrating, is we go through all of this work. Our employees in maintenance construction get all of this information. We have a price, and then by the time it gets to the approval stage, which is the 3rd stage, going to the actual board of directors, the price has gone up.
Yeah, the cost has gone up, and usually those quotes, someone gives you a quote, it's a 30-day or 60-day quote, and by the time it's time for a new quote, kind of thing, because these guys can't be held to that a year later and those kinds of things.
And we have been working on this Clubhouse 1 renovation for 5 years.
So what are the things you did as a GRF board to help streamline things for VMS and those folks in terms of having to come back to you for every little thing?
Well, we passed something that we called the temporary Flexible Amenities and Facilities Operating Procedures. Big name, but it's a really good resolution, and it was passed unanimously. And basically what it does is it gives maintenance construction and VMS the authority to make some decisions in between, so that we don't have to go back to a committee and back and take months to get it there. So there are a lot of things that have to be, decisions that have to be made basically on the spur of the moment, something that comes up while they're in the midst of construction. And so we have to say, we have faith in you, we know you're going to do it as economically as possible and as best as possible. So what we did for the Clubhouse 1 closure was give them that responsibility.
Right, and I think there's the fear, I would imagine, with some folks like, oh, well, if you give a vendor free reign to buy whatever they want, they're not going to
No.
And that's not what this is. That's why I want to make sure people understand that.
It's not. It's definitely monitored by our M&C, our maintenance department particularly, and Guy West, who's wonderful, just really keeps a real close eye on everything that's going on. And so we put our trust in him.
Yeah.
And so we know that it's going to be, they're saying 6 months. We expect to open the middle of August, or I think September is going to be the grand opening. What they're going to do, as soon as they're finished with the building and everything, they're going to resurface all the parking lots.
Okay.
While they're
It'll look brand spanking new out
right.
there. So is there anything, one thing that people are that's going to go away, or any new thing that's going to come in its place? Did you look at some of the rooms you guys were using, saying, you know what, no one uses this for this purpose anymore? Back in the 60s, we're going to repurpose this for X.
No, not exactly. We are taking some of the room. For instance, the billiards room is going to be a multi-purpose room.
Okay.
It'll still be for billiards. It'll have the tables, but it's not going to be just that.
Okay.
There are other things. It's a fairly large room that can be done in that space. So as we go through and refurbish everything, we're thinking, how can we make it more useful to lots of different clubs and things? And they work so closely, maintenance, with the recreation department, because recreation is what does all these things. Okay. And we're not closing the bocce ball.
Oh goodness.
That was a big deal.
No, you can't do that.
So well, we couldn't move it anywhere because we'd have to build all new bocce balls.
Right, and that's not an easy thing.
That's not easy. We didn't have space and cost, whatever. So they worked it so that there's one piece of the parking lot right by the bocce ball courts that will be open.
It'll be safe.
And so bocce ball will still
Bocce ball survives.
Will still survive, yeah.
Juanita, let me talk to you. Fantastic, all this update. You do a lot of work here in the village. You do a lot. What got you to? What made you say to yourself, I'm not going to just be some retiree going to the pool. You were really involved. What makes you get up in the morning and do this stuff?
I feel this is my job.
Okay.
And if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right. Which means I try to keep up on all of the committees, all of the things that are going on. If I'm not on the committee, I usually go or watch it on Zoom, so that when things get to our board for final approval, I know what they're talking about. And I can say yes or no or ask the right questions, I hope.
So you watch the sausage getting made, as they say in politics.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I enjoy it, and I feel that some of the dinosaurs, there are a few of us, I've been 15 years doing this, people do come to us for the history.
Yeah.
Because we have staff that's only been here for 2 or 3 years, and they don't know what went on 10 years ago.
Right.
And of course, board members that are always new and changing, et cetera. So sometimes just having the history, the knowledge helps.
Right. The gatekeeper, so to speak. Well, Anita Silkman, thank you, from first Vice President of GRF. Thank you so much for joining us and giving us this update. Appreciate it.
It's been my pleasure.
We'll be right back. Take a look at some movies and some other announcements when we come back. You're watching This Day.